All right, y'all. Now I remember to record. I will try to screen share here. So, man, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of topics that I probably ruffle feathers with. And honestly, I don't mind ruffling people's feathers because usually if feathers are ruffled, there's some truth behind it. So, this is a topic that's kind of out of nowhere. You read that and you're like, whoa, what in the world is he going to talk about today? This is a real thing. Okay. This is actually something that I don't know. Have any of you guys ever heard about this or like read anything about this topic? Medical gaslighting. Okay, this is something that actually is in journals. It's written about quite frequently and for a long period of time. And I even know health professionals who have started businesses as basically a consultant that you can hire to go with you to medical appointments to help advocate for you because this has been for a long time and still is a pretty big issue. And it's not just healthcare, guys. I mean, this happens in every profession probably. But when it comes to your health, how do you advocate for yourself in a conventional healthcare world? I really wanted to kind of talk about that today. And here's one of the reasons why. Um, I'm the person that I'm going to refer to again. I never use names, but they're not a patient of mine. I just had a conversation literally yesterday morning, and I hadn't made this presentation yet. And after that conversation, it was a young dad who has a 7-year-old autistic son, and just telling me the story. I was on the phone with him for probably 30, 40 minutes, just hearing the story and hearing what he's been through. And so much of it was just heartbreaking because whether it was pediatricians or primary cares or specialists that they'd been to, he just felt he didn't use the term gaslit, but he was. He was basically just, told over and over, your son has autism. There's nothing you can do. Like it is what it is. Like just, and he would come with evidence and he researched. He probably knows more about it now than a lot of doctors do, honestly. Like from the amount of research he's done just to try to help his son. And he's not getting the help he's looking for and needing, and it's heartbreaking because there's no reason for that. So anyway, that was just one example that just triggered in me something that I've heard from some of you guys. I've heard from patients over, I mean, I've been in practice for over 15 years. And I mean, the hundreds and hundreds of times that I've heard this type of thing happening it's just undeniable, right? So we're going to kind of cover some details here. I'm going to give you guys, hopefully this doesn't happen to you. Hopefully it's never happened to you, but more than likely some of you will relate to this. And then also just, of course, giving you not only the information, but some action steps and things to think about. And again, as always, for you guys primarily, but you guys all have friends, family, loved ones, neighbors that might need this information too, that might benefit from this. So first of all, before I put that up there, does anybody know the story of where gaslighting, that term came from? Can I just see, does anybody like raise a hand? Does anybody know where that comes from? Some of us might not even know what gaslighting is. Honestly, like, geez, probably a number of years ago, I would have been like, what is gaslighting? I don't even know what that is. Never heard it before. Um, and then the story behind it's kind of interesting. So basically, here's a short version. There was a black and white movie called Gaslight, I believe. The protagonist, played by this actress Ingrid Bergman, sits alone in her bedroom as she stares at a dimming gas-fueled lamp. Confusion sets in. Did the light just dim on its own? And then much later in the film, she questions this again. She thinks she sees this light dimming, this gaslit lamp dimming. But this time, she's at this point in the film, she's just like convinced she's crazy, like she's losing her mind. Okay, this film and the play on which it's based gave rise to the term gaslighting, which is a form of psychological abuse. I mean, really, this is where I started learning about it, was doing a lot of psychology work. And so it was set in London in 1880. Gaslight tells the story of a man. So the man, the new husband to this woman, was manipulating her to try to make her doubt her own sanity through the manipulative tactics he was using. So among those, he gradually dims the home's gas-fueled lights while vehemently denying that he was doing it, causing his wife to question her own perception of reality. So that's what gaslighting is. That's kind of the story of where it came from, actually, which I just think is fascinating. So gaslighting is when someone in power uses manipulation to make another person doubt his or her own judgment or even sanity. The concept first gained traction as a construct in the psychological literature during the 1960s, but it pervades domestic and professional spaces to this day. For some who've experienced it, the feeling can be worse than physical abuse. So that's kind of the like textbook stuff here that I'm just kind of reading to you. But I mean, it's something that happens. We're going to talk specifically about in healthcare today. So, what is medical gaslighting specifically, or healthcare gaslighting, you could even say? So, that's when a healthcare professional dismisses or disparages a patient's symptoms, maybe your complaints, your story, what you're trying to get across to them, leading to oftentimes, and this is what I see all the time, avoidable harms because maybe you weren't paid attention to. Maybe you wanted to have tests done and they were like, nope, you don't need that, blah, 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 whatever the situation was. That can lead to delayed treatments. It can lead to shame. It can lead to you thinking, well, maybe it's all just in my head. It can lead to all sorts of stuff, depression, anxiety. Gosh, guys, I hear these kind of things quite often. And it happens commonly. Like I said, probably some of you guys listening to this today can be like, yep, that's happened to me before. So it can be pretty simple. It can be hidden comments, and then it can be extreme things as well. Like the extreme example I gave of that dad with his son. They literally were telling him, you're crazy. Like this research that you're bringing us, it's not valid. And they didn't even look at it, right? So that's like an extreme form, in my opinion. And then otherwise, I'm going to give you some examples of how this can be often kind of just more simple statements that you might be told in an office and what to watch out for. So basically, it's manipulation used to make you doubt. So a patient or you doubt your own judgment or perception. Like your body, right? Like your body better than anybody, better than I ever will, better than any doctor ever will, right? And if you have even like a yes, like a conscious like man, something's not right. I always say trust your gut, right? Trust your gut and keep advocating for yourself. Okay, don't take no for an answer. Find different people who will help you. Um, so they're different from other forms of medical errors. So this is about invalidation of patient experience, basically. So like I said, to open this has been studied and written about at length. Maybe you've been unaware of that, but why is that? The reason is because it's been a known issue that's been happening for a very long time, dating all the way back to probably before, but at least for sure on record, Hippocrates. What year did Hippocrates live? I don't even know. That was a long time ago, right? Like ancient. So dating all the way back. So in records, he actually wrote about this. So previous definitions of medical gaslighting have been used in respect to physicians gaslighting their patients, but it's also written a lot in how physicians often treat other physicians or other healthcare providers in different specialties. This is something that I have experienced 100%, even in little old Lincoln, Nebraska. Okay. So this is an example. So a lot of you guys know my original background in physical medicine. I went to chiropractic school. I did a lot of rehab training, physical rehabilitation, all that kind of stuff. So this goes back to the early 1900s, where a Supreme Court case actually a case went to the Supreme Court. It was called Wilk versus the American Medical Association. So this was a landmark federal antitrust lawsuit that dismantled a decades-long campaign, so a proven campaign by the American Medical Association to, quote, contain and eliminate the field of chiropractic, basically because they were threatened by it. So they set up all this propaganda, all of these things to basically gaslight and say, well, these people, this profession isn't a real thing. They don't know what they're doing. It's all made up. It's hocus pocus. It's witchcraft. All the things they said to basically discredit chiropractic as a profession. And guess what? Wilk won the Supreme Court suit against the American Medical Association. And it was a fascinating case. And again, that's just something that I've been involved in and known all about for a long time. But that's just one example of, even amongst professionals, this happens. Maybe you've been so to this day, like so. For example, Sometimes I always love to work with other healthcare providers, like whether it's your primary care physician, specialist, and there are so many good ones out there, and so many people open to learning and understanding more. For example, like what I do, but there still are those that will gaslight and say, that's not a real thing. I have a patient right now, actually, a guy who oh, I can't remember what specialist he was talking to, but he said he was seeing a functional medicine practitioner and he basically got scoffed at and said that's not even real stuff. Oh, and I'm just like, all you can do is laugh at it now because yes, lifestyle medicine, nutrition and exercise and all the things that we do in functional medicine, it's just made up, right? So this again, this happens all the time to this day. Um, so in particular, all you guys on the call today are ladies, right? So, but men listening to this isn't something that's just, one gender or another, but it has been shown actually in research that women, you guys, ladies, you are more susceptible to this. Okay. So just kind of remember that. We're going to go over some of the reasons why here. So, and again, going back to Hippocrates. So Hippocrates wrote about this. He believed, and this is just crazy, right? I mean, they didn't know much back then, but he believed that the womb traveled through the body, causing hysteria and a psychological diagnosis back in that day that was only removed and updated in 1980. Can you believe that? I mean, to that's just crazy to me how they were thinking hormones and things that happened in the female body was one of the causes of hysteria and other psychological issues. So again, just something to be aware of that even up until 1980, which that's a long time ago now, 40 some years, 45 years ago. It seems like I was born in like the 80s, man. So it doesn't seem like it should be that long ago, but it is. So, um, what else do I got here? I kind of said a lot of this. So let me get to how many, okay, so how many times do you think I've heard over the years? So here's what I hear. Okay. Maybe some of you guys have told me this. I felt like I'm crazy because no one has listened to me. Right? Like I feel like I'm crazy because no one's helping me find a diagnosis. No one's helping me figure out what's going on. I hear that, gosh, at least a couple times a month. Okay. When we find the root causes of things, there is such a relief in some people, right? So some of you guys have experienced that. Like we don't necessarily want to find bad things on lab reports, but I've had so many of y'all that like when we do figure out what's going on, what's underlying, it's almost like this, oh no, but like thank God all at the same time. This relief because maybe you've been told that, well, everything we can't find out what's going on with you. So it must all be in your head or it must, whatever they say. Okay. A lot of you guys have heard this before. So your labs look fine, so it must be stress. Or your labs look fine, let's just check up in a year. Like that doesn't sound like much. So go back to what I said about like sometimes it can be very subtle. Like they're probably not even intentionally gaslighting you. Because again, there's good doctors, but it's not their training. It's not so I'm jumping ahead. Let me pause. I was gonna jump ahead, but I have a slide on it. So, but when they're just running a CMP, a metabolic panel, and a CBC, a blood count, those are the two most common things run in a standard physical exam. That is like not even skimming the surface of what's going on in the body. And this is what our standard of care has been for years now. Is like, okay, your labs look fine, your CBC and your CMP look fine, so let's just check up in another year when you know something is not right, right? I know some of you guys can relate to that. All right, so some of the statistics. So this is kind of where it gets to some of the research that's been done with gender roles too. So 72% of millennial females feel dismissed by their doctor. That could be a primary care, that could be an OBGYN. 65% of American women and 60% of men felt their doctor dismissed, ignored, or minimized the severity of their medical concerns. I mean, that's staggering, guys. Just think about this. Like that huge of a majority of people in these surveys and research studies feel that they're not being heard, right? That's an issue. 50% of respondents in this research study felt they had experienced medical gaslighting. Most gaslighting occurred with in this study, general practitioners or emergency room physicians. Okay, so 30%. Now, here's the deal. I think part of this goes to the busyness. Okay, so like I think physicians are overworked. There's not enough. And then other things as well. So again, sometimes it's probably not even the fault of them. It's more the conglomerates above them that dictate what they can do. You can only spend 5 minutes with somebody, for example, 10 minutes. Like, can you really understand? Geez, guys, I spend an hour and sometimes more with you all face to face, Zoom to Zoom. And that's after I've usually spent an hour or two looking at all of your paperwork, your health histories, like, and I still sometimes don't feel like I have the full picture. So I sit here and I think about that is I probably on average have 3 hours of time just in the initial stages of trying to get to know you guys, right? Sometimes more than that. If you guys provide me a lot of labs that you've had done, and I still don't feel like, man, we still have so much more to uncover. Like, so how in the world can any other doctor take 10 minutes or 15 minutes and really truly grasp what's going on? Right. And so this is one of the reasons, like, so the practice I'm in now, Dr. Jamie Dodge and his staff, I mean, I think their minimum appointment is like 30 minutes, and they'll meet, they'll talk. So again, there are physicians that are in the primary care world that are changing this because they've seen the problems as well. Okay. So that's more going towards that concierge medicine type of approach. Research backing systemic change needs. So over 56% of women felt their pain was dismissed by healthcare providers, according to a 2022 Gender Pain Gap Index report, and it was published in PubMed Central. Nearly 1/3 avoided or delayed care. Nearly 1/3 avoided or delayed care due to concerns about not being taken seriously. Like, that's scary. 33% in this one study of women specifically delayed getting the right things done or proceeding with care because they didn't felt heard or like they were being taken seriously. Now, just think about that. I mean, what if it's something serious, right? Never would I wish, of course, on anybody, but like whether it's breast cancer, whether it's other symptoms that are like showing an autoimmune condition. Autoimmune conditions, you guys, if you didn't listen to the last 2 weeks, go back and watch those on autoimmunity, because that is autoimmune conditions are probably one of the most missed things for the longest period of time. I think, and don't quote me on this, but I think it's an average of 3 to 4 years and 4 to 5 different doctors that people see on average before they get an autoimmune diagnosis. Think about that. 3 to 4 years and 4 to 5 different physicians before something is actually figured out. Okay, now I'm not perfect. I miss things, of course, but we're trying to get to deep-rooted levels of things. There's probably some of you who've had autoimmune issues that we haven't necessarily diagnosed, but that are corrected because of the work you're putting in and doing and the lifestyle medicine you're changing, right? And you all know some of the examples I've given, right? So I talked, I think, just last week about the thyroid, Hashimoto's autoimmune thyroid condition, and one patient right now that we found and that had been missed for I don't even know how long. No one had ever looked at it, and it's just like things like that happen on a weekly basis. So never give up your gut feeling, even with me. And this is like, I'm looking in the mirror right now and I'm telling you guys, like, if you ever have a gut feeling, if you ever have anything that I'm not addressing, I want you to tell me. Like, that's what a good, not patting myself on the back here, but that's what a good physician, a good doctor, a good healthcare advocate will do with you is listen and take in what you're trying to say, and then research if they don't know the answer, which is what I love. I love to do that. If you guys have something and I don't know the answer, I love to dive in. Okay. Of course, this happens again, so we talk about gender gaps, but also ethnicities and underserved and poor populations. Of course, this is gonna happen at tremendous rates, probably even higher rates than what you see here. Just part of our healthcare problem in the U.S. Okay, so this was what I was gonna say, and then I was like, I know I have a slide about this. Does anybody know the name Dr. Peter Attia? He's pretty well known. He has a podcast that's so he's a medical doctor, that actually, I don't even know if it's aired yet, but it's there was a big 60-minute segment that either just aired or is gonna air this week. I mean, it's like fresh. So he's very highly sought after. He does not take on a lot of clients. He has some high-end clients, like just really wealthy people, whatever, business people, executives, Hollywood. I don't know who all he sees. But basically, he's a medical doctor, went to Stanford Medical School, and now practices more along the lines of integrative and functional medicine. And I wish I didn't have this all up. I must have forgot to do the animations, but he asked the interviewer, the lady, I can't remember her name, the 60 Minutes lady, do you know how many hours we get in nutrition in medical school? Zero. Do you know how much training we get in exercise prescription, exercise physiology, and how that is powerful against chronic disease and conditions? Zero, right? So unless physicians are taking it upon themselves to learn these really complicated and big subject areas, there's zero training in medical schools to this day. Okay. So I mean, to me, that's a major flaw in our training system, right? So they spend 80% of their time, I think, don't quote me on that, but I want to say 80% of the medical curriculum now is pharmacology. I mean, drugs and medications save lives. You guys will hear me say that over and over and over again. It's amazing. We're blessed to be able to have access. But when 80% of it is just based on like how to understand pharmacology, I mean, something's missing there, right? Like lifestyle medicine is completely missing. And that all started in the Industrial Revolution, right? Before the Industrial Revolution in the early 1900s, medical doctors were basically functional medicine practitioners using plant-based medicine, lifestyle medicine to help people. All right, so who is most affected? 35% of female participants reported their experience was worsened by their gender, twice as high as male patients, which was only 16%. 6 out of 10 millennial women have been told their physical symptoms are just stress. Okay, just stress. Now, you guys all know me. Stress is a big deal. So this might even be true. Okay, stress and a dysregulated nervous system can be the silent killer. You guys, I've done talks on this so many times. If you want to learn more about stress, go to your education library and start looking up the talks I've done on stress. You need to know about it. Okay, and you need to implement, daily stress mitigation techniques if you're not. But here's the problem. The gaslighting part of it is, okay, well, it's just stress. And then they do not do anything to help you, right? Like, when's the last time someone was like, well, you're really stressed out, you have anxiety, you have depression, whatever. Like, other than a medication, are you coached? Are you taught? Are you told? Like, here's what you need to start doing. Here's what you need to start changing in your life, right? So that's the problem. 80% of all patients diagnosed with autoimmune diseases are women. Okay, so again, it's just another statistic. Like, is that because women are more susceptible? Maybe, maybe not. Or is it just because of this whole trend we've seen over the years of kind of not listening as well, right? And then those things get missed or passed for so many years that it turns into an autoimmune condition. Because you guys know, because again, if you were on the autoimmune talks, let me just summarize it like this. This is not 100% of the time by any means, but leaky gut syndrome. So, leaky gut, if your gut is leaking, okay, things into your bloodstream that are not supposed to be there, that is a huge underlying factor and or potential cause of a lot of autoimmune conditions. Someone's gut can be leaking for years before it turns into an autoimmune disease, quote unquote. You could be having an autoimmune response before it turns into a disease. Our bodies are so resilient. They're so smart, like this innate intelligence we have. We have so many tools that are just, we don't have to think about it. It's just happening inside of us where we're trying to balance and reach the homeostasis that we know. But at some point, there's a threshold, right? And once you cross that threshold, oh, now I have Hashimoto's or, whatever it may be, ulcerative colitis, whatever autoimmune conditions, psoriatic arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, all of these kinds of things. Okay, one thought some believe to be contributing to this is being ignored or not taken seriously when certain health concerns are talked about. Kind of already said this, and or more complexities with hormonal changes with age that are not taken seriously as well. Now, this is changing. Okay, so this has changed. So let's talk about women, perimenopausal, menopausal, and postmenopausal. Like that used to be kind of almost like a taboo subject. Like, okay, it's just you go through it as a female and like deal with it. That is changing. So if you still have a provider who's kind of in that mindset of thinking, find someone new because I've talked about this at length. Like, do I think hormone replacement therapy is the first thing someone should do? Absolutely not. I do not, with all of my heart, believe that's the right way to do it. You need to heal your body on deeper levels, but then hormone replacement therapy can be very powerful. In given situations. And I know some of you guys understand that because we've talked about it and you've seen a hormone therapist. So anyway, so this is an area of research that has really been changing over even the last 5 to 10 years. So make sure you're on top of that and ask questions, ask questions, ask questions, ask questions of your providers so you're getting the right care. Okay, so just again, maybe some more stats. I'm just going to put them all up here. These are just kind of, again, kind of going down that same road. So you can look at those if you want, but basically there's just a lot of examples in all of these. Even Harvard has done a lot of research in this gender pain gap area where women for some reason still are kind of treated differently. So, okay, unfortunately, wish it wasn't the case, but it still seems to be the trend. And I think it's changing, but just again, advocate for yourselves. That's kind of the whole point here. Okay, I already talked about, whoops, I didn't want to click on that. I'm gonna kind of pass through here. So kind of get to the point. What's my point? I believe all people, men and women, need to be equipped. You got to be equipped with the tools necessary to be able to advocate for yourself. Okay, no matter who you're seeing, whether it's me, your primary, your specialist, whoever. Okay, but the research will tell you that women are at higher risk, thus especially need to be cognizant of these issues. Okay, and I would say too, again, this is kind of anecdotal, my opinion, but young women and older women, right? So I think sometimes are probably the most ignored. Okay, so teenagers, young 20s, like, they might be like, oh, well, they don't know anything. They're too young to know anything. And then the older generations, of course, geriatric populations probably get taken advantage of as well. This is where I guess I talked about this already. The phone call I had yesterday with the dad with his autistic son. So it's happening a lot, guys. It's happening. So you just got to keep your eyes and ears out. So if you guys have, parents, loved ones, husbands, wives, whatever, whoever, that you feel maybe this is happening, start talking to them about it. Ask them like what happened in your visit. Maybe even go with them. And I think I have that in one of the strategies is whether it's you guys or someone you know and love, like having someone that maybe is better at asking questions or putting someone, in their place a little bit more. Having an accountability person like that going with you to appointments is always a great idea. But here's some of the more common phrases and kind of some of these things that kind of go under the radar that people maybe don't recognize. So watch out for these. So I already kind of said this one. Your symptoms are solely due to stress. Okay. Well, that may be true, but it may not be true. Maybe we need to investigate further. Let's look at that, right? Just relax. Like you just need to relax, right? Implying your pain is stress related than legitimate. Okay. It's all in your head, right? I've heard people they've been, I don't even know who would say this to somebody, but it still happens. It's all in your head. Like your labs are fine. You look fine. You look fine visually, everything that I'm looking at. So it must just all be in your head. And even if that's not told to you, a lot of people leave feeling that way, right? Like they leave feeling like, man, it must be all in my head because they can't figure anything out, right? That's not, it's probably not the case. Okay. Things like you're too young to have that. Now, there are certain things that age is, a predictor or a risk factor. But guys, oh my gosh, like I don't know if any of you guys have seen like different headlines and different research that's coming out, but like, oh, for example, colorectal cancer. Um, it's blowing up in 20s and 30-year-olds. Like it didn't used to be what was like the colonoscopy thing used to be like at age 50 and then it was 45 and now it's 40. I don't even know. I don't even know what it is because colonoscopies are great. Like you guys have heard me say this. It's great, but it's still like just a camera looking for end stages of things. Like, so get them done. I'm not saying don't, but like people need the deeper level stuff done to catch things before they become an issue, like the inflammatory markers, the leaky gut syndrome, the microbiome issues. These are the things that are leading to the cancer, right? The oxidative stress in the body, the nervous system dysregulation, the constant stress. Okay, these are the things that are leading to that. The toxicity in our environment, the water we're drinking, the food we're eating. Like, you guys get the point. Like, but that's something where you're young, too young to have that, or oh, we're not going to look at that because, yeah, you're only 28 years old. Well, guess what? I went to grad school with two guys. So I'm 42. They were younger than me. And this was probably 5, 6, 7 years ago. So this is terrible, terrible story. But one of the guys got like literally, so he's in healthcare and he was a healthy guy. But for some reason, went in, he wasn't feeling well, and it was stage 4 colon cancer. He passed away within a matter of months. His younger brother the next year. So there was some genetic links for sure. But passed away from the same thing. And it's like it's just getting younger and younger and younger. Okay. So never too young to like advocate for yourself. Have you considered that this might be anxiety? That's something, maybe you need to see a therapist, maybe you need to see a psychologist. Okay, well, maybe that is true. Because like I've already said, I've beat that to death, right? So stress and mental health, huge. But how many times have you guys heard, and the science shows the gut-brain connection, right? The gut cell connection. Like if your body's unhealthy, your mind is unhealthy, right? And vice versa. Okay. So what are we doing to actually look at these things at a deeper level? Let's wait and see. Oh, this one drives me more nuts probably than anything. Let's wait and see. Okay, your labs look okay now. We'll check you in a year. Let's wait and see. Like I'm seeing some kind of signs of some things, but let's just wait and see. I would not accept that as an answer. If it was my kids, I would never let someone tell me, let's wait and see. Okay, without action steps. Sometimes we need to wait and see, like, how is this treatment plan going to work? We need to retest in 3 months. You guys know my processes, but there's an action plan, right? It's not just, okay, go about your daily life and I'll see you in 6 months or a year. And then we'll see where you're at. And then at that point, maybe it's too little too late, right? Don't let that happen. Okay, your labs look normal, so I don't see anything wrong. Again, already said that one. That's super common to hear. So as we end here, we've got a few more minutes. So become knowledgeable about your health condition and needs. Okay, so this day and age, of course, information can be good and bad. I mean, gosh darn it, Dr. Google and AI, you can go in and you can learn about anything. Now, a lot of times it's not accurate, or you can scare yourself to death or into a panic attack. So just be careful with it, but become knowledgeable. Do some research, ask questions, talk to someone like myself who might know more about it. Okay, speaking up and being persistent. A lot of us, I tended to be years ago, like I'm more of an introvert, like in certain situations, and I'm not a salesy person. I'm not like an argumentative person. So if a doctor would have told me something, I probably would have just gone along with it and not spoke up, even if I didn't feel right about it. That does not happen anymore. I had to learn my lesson, right? So if you have that sort of personality where you're just kind of quiet, timid, it's going to be hard for you to do this. Take someone with you. Take someone with you who will speak up and be persistent. And I'm not saying you have to be argumentative. I don't want you guys to like take this and you got to go into your doctor's visits and be mean and argumentative. It's just like be intuitive. Ask questions. Go prepared with some research. That's what I'm trying to get across to you guys. And then practice your communication skills, how to ask the right questions. I've done this for some of you guys actually, and many patients over the years, where I'll help you. If you have a specialist appointment, for example, and you have no idea what questions to ask them, I'll write them out for you. Like I'm happy to do that, right? I'll write questions out all day long and say, okay, take this list, ask these questions. Okay. So that can be very helpful. Be organized with health records and symptom tracking. Keep a positive attitude while maintaining boundaries with your providers. Okay. So take that for what it is. And then practical strategy. So before your appointments, action steps, write down your symptoms, write down your questions, write them down, take them with you, right? Some of you guys come into my office with pieces of papers and journals with questions. Do you do that for all your docs? I hope so. I hope so. You should. I love that. That's great. You should track your symptom patterns. So sometimes it's annoying to track things, but the timing of things, the severity, potential triggers, this is all information that the more you have, the more that I feel like someone needs to or should listen, right? Instead of saying, oh, I occasionally have these stomach aches and this bloating, go with all the information, right? It's going to help. And I'll never forget. So it's the same in medical school as it was in chiropractic schools. Is if you guys don't know, I mean, we're primary care physicians, which means chiropractic school is essentially the first 2 years are medical school. I mean, like the hours and the subjects that we get trained in, and that's why we're portal of entry because we don't need a referral for you to see us because we have all of that knowledge. And so what was my point there? Oh, my point was history taking. They teach us in chiropractic school, and again, I don't know about medical school, but that 90% of your diagnosis comes from history, right? Listening to the story, listening to the patient, hearing them, and then asking the right questions to get more information, right? And then we can confirm or we can, kind of that takes us down a direction. And in functional medicine, that's for sure true. Like, what labs do I need to run on you to like confirm or really figure out what my suspicions are? And this isn't me. I'm not that smart of a guy. But 99% of the time, after I get through all you guys' paperwork and we talk through it all, I know what's going on. Okay. I might not know what exact pathogenic bacteria you have growing in your gut, but I know it's there. Right? Just listening to the story, listening to the symptoms. And that's one of the things that because of time, because of insurance, because of how inundated practitioners are, they can only spend 5 or 10 minutes with you. Okay. So you're just not getting that. Okay. Schedule your appointments at times when you can devote full attention, right? And go in with a purpose and not rush through it. Prepare your medical history, your family health history. And again, I've said this before, but consider bringing a trusted friend or family member for support, someone that's going to help you out. Okay, when you're in an appointment, some effective strategies start with your most concerning issue. So I know a lot of people will start with like maybe they're embarrassed. Maybe we're embarrassed of like this main concern we have. So we start with the small stuff like, oh, I've been tired a lot lately, blah, blah, blah. You kind of go and then all of a sudden you drop the bomb at the end of the appointment when it's almost over. Right? So start with your most concerning issue. Okay. Be honest about all symptoms. That's the other thing is, man, I know I get it. Sometimes we're embarrassed, but I mean, I have you guys, oh, you guys crack me up. Not necessarily you guys. I say you gals, anybody who's listening. So many of you guys will tell me that. It's like, oh, TMI, too much information, or oh, I'm embarrassed. It's like, you don't have to be. Like I hear, you guys wouldn't believe in over 15 years what I've seen, what I've touched, what I've had to do, what I've heard, all of it. Okay. So most physicians have. So don't be embarrassed. If they're professional about it, it's a normal part of the process. So ask why until you understand the reasoning. So if you are leaving an appointment confused, I know some of you probably are in this boat with me. Like I present you guys with a lot of information sometimes, a lot of information. So if you leave confused, get a hold of me. I don't ever want you guys to be confused, okay, and not understand the why of what we're doing, okay, when it comes to treatment plans, when it comes to what we find, etc. Okay, take notes or even ask permission to record. I've had people record my sessions. I'm fine with it. Sometimes I've recorded sessions of my own. I had a mental health therapist, counselor, like marriage counselor type person that I recorded every session. I wanted that to look back on, to listen to remember, because if I don't think I'm going to remember everything, I need to record it. Okay. Repeat back what you need for your doctor to follow up on. So follow up is probably one of the biggest errors in healthcare. is the lack of follow up or follow through, right? I know you guys have experienced this, so many of you. It's like if you don't advocate for yourself, and I even ask you guys to help because I do my best to say, okay, if we need to draw blood in 3 months or if we need to repeat a lab in 6 months, I try my best. I put it on my calendar, like as a reminder in 6 months. Okay, get a hold of Denise, get a hold of Becky, get a hold of Kristen, get a hold of Heather. But I also tell you guys, like, put it on your calendar. Make sure you hold me accountable. Okay, so that's we're all human. We all make mistakes. So do that with your other docs as well. Okay, and request specific times for follow up and hold them accountable. Okay, so say don't just accept, like, oh, I'll see you in a year for your annual physical. If you think something's going on and you want to follow up before that, advocate for yourself. Okay, ask, and a lot of times they'll say yes. And don't be afraid to ask for different tests or referrals. Okay. Okay, and we are at time, so I'm just going to throw all this up here. A lot of you guys, this is more of the legal stuff. You have a right to your medical records. They are your records.
It's
I've had so many people that are like, "Can I get my medical records?" Yes, you can get. Your informed consent, right? The right to refuse treatment. So much coercion happens. I can't even tell you guys, like pressure, like to take a vaccine that you don't want or whatever it is. This happened to someone I shouldn't say, but it happened to someone very close to me just a couple of years ago, and it was not cool. It was not good. They were coerced into doing something they didn't want to do, and it did not turn out well. Right to second opinions, and no doctor should ever be angry or upset and take it out on you that you're seeking a second opinion. Okay, if they are, you probably just need to find someone else because second opinions, third opinions, we all need to work together. And then the right to understand your diagnosis and your treatment options. Okay. Find providers who listen and validate your concerns, build trust and rapport, show appreciation. Don't hesitate to switch providers if you're dismissed repeatedly. Consider seeking specialists when appropriate. Engage with peer mentors. So I think all of that I've kind of said throughout this, but just if you need to screenshot that or rewatch, that's fine too. But I think that was the end. Oh, no, of course not. I always have too much information. So again, I'll throw this up here. Just some empowerment tools. There's groups, there's support groups out there, online groups this day and age, local groups that you can join if you're really struggling in this area. Okay, for self-advocacy. I think this is the last slide. Thank goodness. So remember, your symptoms are real and they deserve investigation. You are the expert on your own body and your own health. Persistence is not being difficult or argumentative. It's protecting your health. Just remember that, okay? Second opinions are your right. It's not an insult. Documentation is your best tool, and you deserve respectful, thorough care. Medical gaslighting is a systemic issue. It's not your fault. It's getting better, I think, but it still is out there. So just be watchful of that. And never apologize for advocating for your own health. Your voice matters. So with that, I leave you. I'm sorry I went a few minutes over. Hopefully you guys got something out of that. I will hang out for a couple minutes if anybody has questions. If not, have a great day, everybody. Have a beautiful, oh my gosh, beautiful Halloween. Like Halloween, is it even a real holiday? I don't know. But anyway, we have costumes. We're going to have fun. So have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye. If you have questions,
Bye.
I'm
Thank
on.
you.